Ow. The boy is here. Welcome. It is a beautiful and sunny day outside. You're chasing the birds outside. You wanted to eat them. We don't eat the birds, Simon. We don't disrupt the ecological system that lives outside. What we're gonna do today is a very exciting challenge. There's been a book on my TBR for quite some time, and it's part of the 100 classics to read in your lifetime challenge that I am undertaking. I've been trying to knock out some of the heftier books, some of the more challenging books, I guess. So today's challenge, it's been one I've been dreading. I have 3 beautiful library books that I really want to get to, but I won't until I finish this. Herman Melville, Moby Dick. It's only like 600 pages, I think. 138. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. It's not as bad as I thought. But it is the world's tiniest print, so I'm not super jazzed about that. And it is the Arcturus copy, the Arcturus edition, and I don't love the Arcturus edition. So I'm already starting off on a really good foot. I don't actually know that much about Moby Dick. I know it's a revenge story. I do have like I have some little stickies, and I do have some notes on what I want to tab in the book. All right, I'm putting this off too long, Simon. Let's go read Moby Dick. Let's get her cracked open. When I do my annotation like table, I always put it on a sticky note so that I can take it out so that I don't have to keep flipping. It makes it easier, I find, to annotate. I was not expecting the there was only one bed trope to be in Moby Dick, but it's there. It's there. So I think he kind of came up with it. Okay, first 100 pages in the books. So far, I'm actually really enjoying it. It's like easy to read. The language isn't hard to understand, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Ishmael, our narrator, he is going on a whaling journey. He wants to experience what whaling is. He really wants to get on a ship. He really wants to just experience whaling, right? He goes to this inn in this whaling town, and they're like, we're all full up. Like, we don't have any room. There's no room left in the inn unless you want to bunk with this harpooner. I guess I will. Like, just tell me about him. The landlord is like, he's kind of crazy. Like, he's a wild guy. Like, good guy, great guy. We love him, but he's a little wild. So he's like, I don't know. The more you talk to me about this harpooner, the more I'm like, I don't really want to be bedfellows with him. And then eventually it's like really late at night and he's trying to sleep on this bench, and he's like, I'm just like, sleeping on this bench is not it. I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go in this room. Clearly he's not coming back. It's like the middle of the night, so I'll have the bed all to myself. And the landlord's like, sure, I'll take you up there. And who shows up but the harpooner? Ishmael's in the bed. He's like, and he's like, this guy is different. He's got this very deep dark skin, and he's covered in tattoos, and he's got this really interesting hairstyle. This character is not white, so Ishmael is like, oh my god, who the hell is that? Eventually the guy gets into bed and they have this little argument, and he calls the landlord up and he's like, this guy's gonna kill me with his harpoon. The landlord's like, nah, he's good, just Queequeg, he's kind of cool, like, don't worry about it. And they have a little fight, but in the end they're like, it's fine, we're gonna just sleep facing away from each other, everything's good. There was only one bed. Ishmael, when he's finally like, I guess I'm like okay with sleeping next to Queequeg, he's like, I'd rather sleep with a sober cannibal than a drunk Christian. They wake up and Queequeg's got his like arm over top of him. Anyway, they have a little chat and now they're buddies, and they like go and they have breakfast together and they smoke. Basically, he's like, I need a harpooner. Queequeg's kind of cool, so I'm gonna let him join me on my whaling journey. So that's his first friend that he makes. And they're trying to get a ship. They're trying to find some ship that they can join to go on a whaling expedition. And they come upon Pequod, I think is how you say it. Pequod. Pequod sounds better to me, but it could be wrong. And the guys who are running are like testing Ishmael to be like, you really like up for a whaling expedition because it's kind of intense. And they're like, have you talked to Captain Ahab? And he's like, I thought I was talking to the captain. And he's like, yeah, I am a captain, but like there's other captains, and Captain Ahab is the captainiest of all captains. Ishmael is like, I gotta talk to this Captain Ahab guy. They tell me he lost his leg to a whale. I need to know about this. Ishmael makes a point in one section. So basically, Queequeg asks him to participate in a prayer to Queequeg's God. And Ishmael is Presbyterian, and he's like, I can't worship false gods, so I don't want to do that. But then he's like, what is worship? And he basically asks this, but what is worship? To do the will of God, that is worship. And what is the will of God? To do to my fellow man what I would have my fellow man to do to me. That is the will of God. Now, Queequeg is my fellow man, and what do I wish that this Queequeg would do to me? Why, unite with me in my particular Presbyterian form of worship. Consequently, I must then unite with him in his. That's kind of beautiful, honestly. Okay, I'm actually enjoying it so far. Quick, easy 100 pages. I've been reading for about an hour. So, yeah. About to do the second 100 of this. I'm gonna sit outside on the porch while I do it. All right. The next 100 pages done and out. We have started our journey on the ocean at this point. So they're off to do some whaling now. Here we actually meet Captain Ahab and we meet his three mates. Starbuck, who is the first mate. The second mate is Stub, and then the third mate is Flask. Starbuck is very cautious. He's brave, but he understands that bravery is connected with fear. Like, I don't want anyone on this ship who isn't properly afraid of the whales that we're hunting. Stub is very easygoing. He's very laid back. He's kind of a dick. And Flask is young and a bit impetuous. We don't really know a whole lot about him just as of yet. Captain Ahab is very moody, and he basically spends most of his time in the captain's cabin below deck, and people don't often see him. He has a peg leg that is made of ivory, and you can kind of hear him approaching. It has like a very specific and steady rhythm to his gait, to his walk, because of his peg leg. And everybody has a deep respect for him as their captain. If you see a white whale, let me know immediately. Like, we have to get this white whale known as Moby Dick. And then Starbuck is like, is that the whale that ate your leg? And he's like, how did you know that? You're right, but how did you know that? And it's like, obviously, because you're seeking revenge on a specific whale and you got your leg eaten by a whale. Of course, we're talking about the same fucking whale. So Starbuck is like, I don't know if I love this whole revenge thing. Like, I feel like it's gonna cloud our judgment. We're gonna make poor decisions. I think you're like kind of taking us to our doom. Revenge, they're all seeking it now for themselves. And even Ishmael is like, I feel like I am united with Ahab as if I was slighted myself. Like, they are all seeking revenge. A lot of people have mentioned when trying to read Moby Dick that there's a lot of just categorizing fish. I bumped into that a little bit here. There's a chapter that basically just goes through the different like etymology of whales. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that long, and it wasn't written like a textbook, I didn't find. And I also will say, one of my favorite things in a big classic is when there are short chapters. This has some short chapters. We're talking 1 to 2 pagers. So I will catch you in the next 100 pages. That is another 100 pages done. And I'm actually making really good time. At this point, we have a further explanation of Ahab's obsession with the white whale. They also actually kill a whale. They bring the whale back into to the main ship, and Ahab looks at it, and he's kind of morose about the whole thing. He recognizes that in killing this whale, they have achieved part of their goal there of whaling, but it kind of reminds him that the white whale, that Moby Dick, is still out there and is still alive, and they haven't accomplished his specific goal. Some pretty exciting whale fighting scenes happening. The format of this is the story of Ishmael and Ahab and Starbuck and Queequeg and all of the people on the ship, followed by interludes about whaling, then an interlude, usually a character telling the story of another whaling ship, and then back to Ishmael and the rest of the crew. I find because the chapters are so short, you kind of like can get, you kind of get through them and get over them, the more boring portions pretty quickly. I'm actually not finding this too challenging to read. I'm enjoying it. I haven't been annotating a ton. I will catch you in the next 100 pages. I need to get something to eat because I am hungry. All this talk of whale steak getting me hungry. So anyway, I'll see you in 100 pages. These are butter tart muffins. Life-changing, and they don't have nuts in them. So again, life-changing. I just finished another 100 pages, so we're just gonna get this out of here. So now I only have 120 pages left. In the last 100 pages, we've had some encounters with other ships and some more encounters with whales. They met like a big herd or pod of whales. Had a couple of characters in like mortal danger. The danger seems to be obviously like in the actual like killing of the whale, but also just the cleanup after, like when they have to cut up the whale and butcher the whale is seems to be a really dangerous part as well. One of the characters, Tashigo, I think is his name, he almost dies. Queequeg, he jumps into the sea and he saves him because he slays. We also had another character, Pip, who's one of the younger members of the crew. Pip is in one of like the little lifeboat things and he's doing something with the whale and he jumps to like try to get into a better position and he ends up falling into the water after Stubbs is like, don't jump. He's overboard and he's in the water and Stubbs is like, fine, I'm leaving you, thinking that the other boats coming up behind will pick Pip up. But the other boats don't realize that Pip's fallen overboard and they also get distracted by a whale. So they go on their adventure to get the whale and then Pip ends up kind of stuck in the water. He's eventually picked up and he did survive. He's just, they say he's not drained of life, but he's drained of spirit. Like it fucked him up being stuck in the water for that long. So I think I might just barrel through all 120 and then get back to you once I'm done. I will catch you in 120-ish pages. I did it. I read Moby Dick. I apparently lied to myself because the last sticky note I had said 20 pages. 20 pages remain with a little whale, but alas, about 40 pages actually remained. So I don't know why I decided to lie to myself, but it kind of helped because I just kept being like, oh, it's like maybe like 21, maybe like 20 I was estimating. And then it just like kept going. But you know what, Pastelina? You got me. You got me. This last portion of the book here, the obsession theme really came to the forefront as Captain Ahab was more and more determined to kill Moby Dick. They have their multi-day chase with him. Starbuck is begging, he's begging Ahab to stop and to surrender and to just give up because it's not worth it. And all these people are going to die for something essentially completely useless as vengeance, right? And he almost gets through to him, and then Moby Dick arrives and kind of fucks that whole thing up. There's also a portion where Starbuck he's watching as Ahab sleeps, and he sees a gun, and he's like, I could kill him and save the rest of the ship. If I killed this man while he slept, I could stop this ridiculous vengeance quest. No, I'm like so glad that you're just enjoying yourself. And Starbuck ends up deciding not to pull the trigger. Honestly, this was not that difficult to read, I would say. I mean, I think, honestly, and this is just might just be a me thing, I find just saying, you know what, I'm gonna read this whole thing today, I enjoyed it. I do feel like if this was like a multi-day read for me, I would probably not feel like picking it up. I think because the chapters are so short, it really lends itself to extended reading sessions because of the like serotonin boost you get when you get to the next chapter. The characters are all unique and interesting in their own way. The way that Melville writes his prose is actually quite beautiful. Surprisingly moving, actually, a lot of the portions of this book. And there's a lot of really interesting relationship dynamics as well. Even like initially I was joking about Ishmael and Queequeg, but they have a really beautiful relationship, the two of them. And Starbuck and Ahab's relationship as well is fascinating in how it's so one-sided to the point where Starbuck just kind of has to resign himself to, you know, this is my captain and I have to, you know, I have to go down with him. Like this is what he's, you know, commanding me to do, and I have to do it. He lets his moral compass guide him that way, even though, you know, he could have killed him. He could have stopped this from happening, but he decided not to. Besides the theme of obsession and revenge, obviously, themes like freedom versus predestination or fate are also really prevalent throughout the book. It seems like Ahab has no choice in the matter, especially nearing the end, that he has to do this. And by proxy, the crew has to also do this. Whether that's true or not, that's how they feel. Ahab starts to say that Moby Dick is chasing him now. And there's a part where Starbuck is like, he's not chasing you, you're chasing him. And the whale's like barreling at Ahab, and he's like, you gotta understand, you put yourself in this position, man. But it's that like kind of perturbed perspective that he has based entirely on his own internal battle that he's having. And the fact that he feels slighted by an animal, which didn't actually do anything out of malice. It was an animal and it acted out of instinct. And that's another thing that's mentioned quite directly in the book, is people telling Ahab like this, it was acting out of instinct. It's an animal. You can't really blame it for what it's done. And putting all of these people in danger for your own satisfaction is not the right thing to do. He meets another whaler whose arm Moby Dick ate. And that whaler's like, I'm not going out and hunting a white whale. Why would I do that? Like, he won, you know, he won, he got me. I can go catch other whales. I don't really need to be involved in all that. I've had my battle with him. And Ahab's like, I can't even understand or comprehend why you wouldn't be seeking revenge. Because in his mind, that's the natural order of things. So I really, really, really enjoyed this. I thought it was going to be boring, and it really wasn't. I am happy that I decided to read it as a challenge book. And don't mind him. If you're somebody who has been putting this book off because you've been hearing that it's just categorizing fish or just talking about whaling in dry, boring detail, I'd say give it a shot. It's not actually that bad. It's not hard to get through those sections. And those sections are spread out between other interesting things that are happening, and you won't be bored by this. I am fairly certain if you're somebody who reads classics often, you won't find this boring. So this started off fresh too. Look at the spine now. I've been told I'm a monster because I read, I break the spine in my books, and I flip the page over, and like that's kind of how I read. But anyway, I can finally cross her off my list, and I am very happy and proud. thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If it's something you enjoyed or you're interested in, let me know. I enjoy doing these, and I do them regardless of if I'm filming them. I'll be like, I want to read this entire book today, and then I'll just sit down and do it. But I do have where is she? I do have a TBR llama, which has little prompts on it. So I've been doing this as like a little casual side project. Maybe I'll do something with that. Could do like reading 3 books out of my TBR llama. I've also I printed and I have to put them in a little mug or jar or something. All of the books I have left on my 100 classics list. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to be able to pull those as well. I have a lot of them already like on my shelf, but I also I can pick them up from the library. It's not a big deal. So that might be how I choose my next classics, is kind of my thought process. But I read Moby Dick in one day. So it's not impossible. You can do it. And I'll catch you in the next one.